Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, entitled mom doesn't know how triage works. Parents guilt tripping me into house-sitting/babysitting for a week straight. Eepy, I'm so mature and not like the other girls because I couldn't go out partying after I had a baby. But you're immature for not partying. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled mom doesn't know how triage works. I work at a pediatric emergency room. I encounter lots of entitled parents, but this mom from last night almost made me lose my shit. She had taken her son in because he had an unusual rash on his arm. She was very distressed that entire night and often came up to me to ask how long they would have to keep waiting. I said there weren't enough rooms for everyone to be seen quickly and apologized for the long wait. Maybe 2 hours after they had come, a teenage girl had been taken in by her father. He had to carry her because she was losing consciousness, felt extremely cold, and was delirious. Obviously she had to be seen immediately because we suspected she was septic. Patient quickly got moved to the PICU, and a wait time for this patient would likely mean death. The mom accused me of lying that there weren't enough rooms because this girl had gotten a room instantly. I wish people understood that we need to prioritize who gets seen first. Seriously, what is wrong with these people? There is a difference between life and death situations that have to take priority over a minor rash. But her sweet dingleberry's rash is far more important than, well, everything. Lady should be thankful tbh. If an ER is busy and you/your family member get taken right in, it means they're really in bad shape/danger. Having to wait almost always means your situation is minor and the patient will be fine. I can't even imagine how a parent would feel if their child was truly in a life or death situation. That girl's father was in absolute panic and it was horrible to see. Wait until she gets the bill and insurance covers zero because it wasn't a true emergency. Positive story to counter that crappy feeling. Triage got slammed after a snowstorm. You got people with concussions, injuries, and the like. So triage was still processing us when a mom came in with a young boy screaming. We all could see the very broken finger and we all stepped out of the way and told triage, let this kid go first. Nurse said he can wait his turn. Next, oh, that's broken. He was taken in right away. Went in with a possible broken foot. Guy behind me was clearly at risk of or in the process of having a heart attack. He tried to argue with me when I told the nurse to take him next, but he didn't have enough breath. His wife was lovely too. In my country there are 2 large banners explaining this at all ER entrances. Triage statuses and patient rights/duties. Ha ha. I'm just the opposite. I was in my last trimester with my 3rd child. Recently separated from my husband. He came to see our other 2 daughters and handed me some cash for a change. After he left with the girls, I went to the store. I was feeling wet, but in no pain. Decided to go to ER to be checked, in Brooklyn, New York. I waited in the triage line with about 10 or 12 people in front of me. The nurse asked how far along I am, I tell her. She then asked why I'm there and I tell her I think my water broke, but I was definitely not in labor. She got very upset and said I should have come straight up to the window and not stand in line. I told her I really didn't feel like getting jumped by the other patients. I had to have my C-section that night as I did go into active labor. My daughter was born fairly healthy, about 3 weeks early. I want to tell those entitled idiots that this is an emergency room and not a department store. It is not first come, first serve. Geez. SMH. Parents guilt tripping me into house-sitting/babysitting for a week straight. I'm 23F and live about 30 minutes from my parents' house, so obviously I end up helping them with a lot. Recently my grandma died and my mom was made the executor of the estate, so they have been back and forth to her house 5 hours away to clean up before selling the house. My mom called me last weekend and said she was planning on going up there once again in the past couple months with my dad for a week to take care of everything. The kicker is, my brother is 10 years old and in school. So, as the obligated only older sibling, I was asked if I could come house sit that entire week and get my brother to and from school. The kicker is, I work 6 days a week and finally have a weekend off, which I plan for being asked, which happens to be when they plan on leaving. It's doable, but it would be a huge strain on me considering work and the fact I am extremely burnt out with obligation and finally was able to have a weekend to myself. How do I say no without encountering a huge issue? My mother can be very entitled on what she can ask from me, so I know if I say no she will guilt me into oblivion. I care for my parents and feel bad they have to go do this stuff, but I really hate being the only option for them. A weekend I would be okay with, but an entire week straight is a lot to ask in my opinion. Let me rephrase, since Eve gotten a lot of backlash. I do not think my parents are entitled in this particular situation, they just are in general. I love them and help them out with a lot. I watched my grandmother die with my mom next to me, and it was horrible for me, and I understand it was even worse for her. I talk to her every single day and see my parents once a week. I babysit my brother constantly and sacrifice a lot of help my parents. I just find difficulty in navigating an entire week 30 minutes away from home pretty suddenly. I recently have babysat/house sat only 2 weeks ago so they could go back to my grandmother's house, and have been up there myself to help out a few times whenever is possible. I am also extremely burnt out, and my mother does make me feel obligated to be the on-call babysitter whenever they need me, which I diligently have been for the past 10 years. I'm not an asshole, things may just be more nuanced than I described. I'd be inclined to help out this 1 week. Especially if they haven't twisted your arm into babysitting regularly. Dealing with the death of a parent is one of the hardest things you can ever go through. Try to imagine how your mom feels having lost her own mother and how you might feel when you lose yours. It is very hard and I understand the difficulty, but it should not be my fault that they happened to have my only brother when I was 13 years old. I have been the only babysitter going on 10 years. This is not a once-off thing in the slightest, regardless of the situation. I actually expected to do this around the holidays, but my mom does not want to wait. If you are seldom asked to help out, do it if you can. It's a stressful situation for your parents, that's what families do to support each other. Take a moment and put yourself in their shoes. They trust you, your brother needs you. Perhaps arrange for some help on the weekend so you can still go out with friends. A death in the family and dealing with the estate is an extenuating circumstance in which I would be inclined to help out. I was about to say something along these lines. It's a thing that doesn't happen often. Mom and dad can't help it. Will it be a tough week for OP? Probably. But losing a parent is the hardest thing I've went through in my life. Saying no and making them find someone to do it that they probably don't know well, plus having to pay them for it, is going to add additional unnecessary stress. Like you might have to make breakfast and lunch for the kid, but it's not the end of the world. If they were like, "We're going on a surprise vacation, watch your brother," it would be very different. I don't feel they're entitled parents, just parents in need of desperate help. Do it if it is a one-off thing. People who care about each other help each other from time to time, and they return the favor when you need something. It is part and parcel of being part of a family community. A 10-year-old is relatively easy to take care of and independent. You can't leave, but you can do many other things in the evenings. Could you have a friend over and hang out and order pizza? Or send him to a kids' movie with a friend on the weekend? It sucks to have plans, but your mom just lost her mom, so understand she may feel stuck and frustrated too. I take care of my mom and have done so for many years as her health declined. It is constraining and hard, but it is also something I am glad I can be there for. Eepy, I'm so mature and not like the other girls because I couldn't go out partying after I had a baby. But you're immature for not partying. My parents have this friend, Anna, 50F, who has basically had issues with me, 23F, since I was 18. Before I graduated high school, she was on good terms with me and was super nice, but then she started being nasty and judging my life choices. She said that she withdrew her enrollment in college and moved in with her boyfriend because she found out she was pregnant in senior year. She said that all college students drink and sleep around, and that going to college isn't real work. She calls college students privileged kids living off their parents, even though she depended on her parents to pay for her kid, and couldn't even buy diapers and formula at first. She claims that having kids makes you grow up faster, and that she was more mature because I couldn't go out drinking and partying every night like other teenagers. I don't drink and am waiting until marriage, my personal preference, no judgment on people who don't. I am currently in school to be a special education teacher as I have PTSD and schizophrenia and was in special education for my entire K-12 years. Between working to pay the bills and finishing my classwork, as well as the volunteer work I do, I have no energy to party due to the aforementioned health issues. Clearly everything she would approve of, right? Nope. She overshares a lot of stuff about how she used to sneak her boyfriend into the house while her parents were at work and brags about how she went out partying every night and was so popular. There was one time when she made comments about being sexually active in high school and laughed and said that I need to have some fun before I settle down. She basically called me an old maid at 18 and said that the fun years of my life were coming to an end and it's all work and responsibilities from here. She claims that if you don't go out partying you won't grow as a person. She keeps saying that I'm missing out on quintessential teenage experiences, I'm going to end up emotionally stunted, and I'm wasting my youth. So are people who don't drink or party stunted, childish losers, or are they wise and mature? Can't have it both ways. There are all types of people in life, including those like her, that can safely be ignored. Smiley face. I save screenshots of memes I like. I'm saving a screenshot of your post. Sounds like she's jealous that she didn't get to go to college like she had planned. Don't hold your breath waiting for her to admit that, though. Gross, can you imagine being 50 years old and just as catty and misogynistic as you were at 18? How sad. It sounds like you are carrying a lot of unresolved emotional baggage from those years. That must be so hard for you to deal with. Bless. Then walk away and don't look back. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.